So let's talk a little bit about leadership and diversity in business with some comments from an entrepreneur with vast international experience, from high-flying CFO roles for tech companies to founding Cali Kids in the UK. She has held a variety of leadership positions and now sits on several boards. Karen Bach is the non-executive chair of Amino Technologies. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you, Peggy. That was lovely. So, yeah, I'm Karen Bach. I am chairman of Amino Technologies, and we are here to talk about the future of TV. And totally, yesterday was the International Women's Day, which is fantastic. And so we, in this webinar, will have a strong female focus. I'm just going to take the first 10 minutes to talk about the power of diversity and why empowerment of women in our sector is so important. So when I think about the future of TV, I get very excited. It's a fast-moving sector. You never know quite what's coming next month. It feels like there's a new content creator, a new aggregator, a new platform every week. And who knows what we'll do with 5G latency when it's really implemented, and really who's guessing what we'll do with 6G in 10 years' time. Why do women matter in this sector? At the end of the day, the world population is 50% female. We are a huge part of the consumers or the watchers. And actually, we have a 5-year life expectancy advantage on men. We are going to be around longer. When you look at Netflix stats, 51% of their consumers, their watchers, are female. And a recent US survey of US adults saw that 56% of women watch TV every day versus 47% of men. So actually women are slightly ahead of that 50%. We are really a big consumer group in this sector. But then you go back to who's in the sector, who's working, who's doing the design, who's creating the new OTT services. There's a mismatch. You look at various stats and you very rarely see stats of over 20% of women in a tech role. A recent PwC survey saw that only 27% of girls would even consider a career in technology. Personally, I find that really sad, and I've got 2 daughters. And the best stat I've seen recently is actually Amazon. Amazon say of their techies, 42% are women. That is by far the best record I've seen in a long time. So we have a mismatch between who's designing the future of TV and who's watching the TV. And a recent example completely out of this sector is a really good one. I went to a networking event 3 or 4 weeks ago and saw an entrepreneur, a female entrepreneur, talk about her business. Her mum had suffered from breast cancer and had her breast removed several years ago, and then spent years wearing bras that were uncomfortable, gave her backache, didn't make her feel very feminine, and basically ended up not wearing a bra on most days. And her daughter started researching into this and realized actually those bras were all being designed by men who didn't have 2 breasts in the first place and definitely hadn't lost one and gone through that emotional turmoil. So she has now created a business that is designing bras for women who have had breast cancer. Now that's an extreme example and not relevant to our sector, but it gets the point across that you need a diverse culture to design for a diverse consumer set. And that's not just gender, it's all diversity. Now, I don't want to sound like a bad thing here. I don't want to hit the alarm button. We are getting better as a society. I'm 50 years old. My career was determined by men 10 to 20 years older than me. They had grown up watching TV content in the 60s and 70s. And if you ever watch TV from the 60s and 70s, it is extremely sexist and it's cringeworthy and embarrassing. But if you're 30, your career is now being influenced by men and women who watched TV in the 80s and 90s. And if you're 20, it's another decade later. Society was already getting better. There's a natural movement. Plus, then we've got laws and regulations, whether that's on the gender pay gap reports, whether it's discrimination acts, whether it's the blue chip corporates who are fantastic in making sure diversity and equality is on the forefront. There are some fantastic programs of girls in STEM and girls at school and university and BAME and all of those things. There's lots of good things going on. And VCs that you can see at the moment have gone from $3 billion USD in 2010 to 46 billion investment That's a huge increase, and I'm really, really pleased to see that personally. And then you've got the likes of Goldman saying they won't invest in businesses that don't have women on their boards. All of that is good. At Amino, we're very proud of our UI and our UX. We design for the consumer. That's what we live for. We have a natural diversity. We have people around the world, 290 or so people around the world in 7, 8 countries. In Finland, just in one town, we have 13 nationalities in a small team. So we have a natural diversity, but I have to say we're not so good on the female count. Across the board, across the business, we only have about 22% of female players, and we are now putting an action checklist together or an action plan together to make sure we improve that. One thing we're really good at, and I'm very proud of, is at a board level, so the directors and officers, we have 6 directors. 2 of us are female. I'm the chairman, and we have a non-exec director. I'm very proud of that fact. And on Friday, we joined the 30% Club. The 30% Club was created a few years ago to campaign for 30% female representation on the FTSE, originally 100, but now up to the 350 businesses in the UK. So that's the top 300 listed companies in the UK. And all 350 have now achieved that. By signing up to the 30% Club, we Amino say we target 30% at board, which we tick, and 30% at senior management level as well. So again, I'm really proud of this. Why are we doing this? A, because we know that good design matches the good consumer, so we need that match. But also we have the ability and the responsibility to empower women in tech. And essentially that is true for everyone on this call, no matter what gender or diverse background you have. But if you are a female or you are a BAME representative or you have that diversity, by progressing your own career and going further, pushing yourself, that's great for you selfishly, but you also then become a role model and you inspire the people behind you, the people who are 10, 20 years younger than you. And that is a responsibility, and that you do have the ability to do. My background is very different, and I didn't wait to be promoted. I didn't sit in jobs waiting 4 or 5 years for a man to say, oh, maybe she's capable. I went and sent my CV elsewhere. I went looking for the next promotion. I've worked in businesses such as General Motors, where we had over 500,000 people. Like diversity training was part of the norm, even then, 25 years ago. I've worked in 3 startups where I've literally walked down the street, bought a printer and carried it back to the office. And I've worked for MCI WorldCom, now Verizon, when we hit Chapter 11 because of a big accounting fraud, and saw the boss of my boss in handcuffs. But essentially my message there is be curious, go out and do stuff and believe in yourself and be different, don't wait. And in particular, 3 pieces of advice I would give anyone, and it doesn't matter what gender or your background, but the 3 things I would say to anyone are learn to love the no's. You're always going to get knocked back, whether it's sending your CV or resume somewhere, whether it's asking to go to the next client meeting and do that presentation, you're going to get lots of no's. You can learn from those no's, sit back and think, well, shall I have done the messaging different, whatever. It's like cold calling. You need to phone however many people to get that yes. Secondly, I say build your confidence, and that's very easy to say, hard to do. And each person is different. So it might be that you just do it little by little. In the next important meeting tomorrow, you give your opinion more quickly than you normally do, in a louder voice than you normally do, but just give your opinion and don't wait for everybody else's. Could be that. Could be that you go and start marathon training and sportily get that confidence there. Or as a lady I know well said to me about 4 or 5 weeks ago before she had a very important meeting, well, I'm just going to go and put my big girl panties on and get this done. And lastly, thirdly, consider getting a mentor. If you find someone you really trust, who can give you that encouragement and sometimes give you the really tough love and the feedback you don't always want to hear, can make a real difference in your career. And again, I'm talking to you, this is selfish, you can build your own career, that's fantastic, but you then become a role model inspiration for the people behind you. So in conclusion, the future of TV is very exciting. I think it's an extremely exciting sector, but none of us can write the story. None of us know what this will look like in 20 years. None of us know what devices we'll be watching TV and where or how in any context. What we do know is that women will always be 50% of the consumers watching that TV. What we do know is those consumers will be very diverse. And we need more empowerment of women and diversity so that we get better design that matches that audience. And at the end of the day, everyone on this call has the ability and responsibility to make that engagement better for everyone and get empowerment for women and diversity and get that better design. So I hope you enjoy this webinar. Back over to Peggy to move on.